We got some real life drama. These are your stories, and good news, there's some more room on the form, all right? I'm pretty sure it's like endless amount of submissions at this point. So if you want your story heard, put it in the form. It is linked down in the description of every single video. Can't miss it. First story is anonymous. My best friend got my This should have came with a warning label. My best friend got my mother pregnant and I didn't know about it for years. Hydrate yourselves for this cesspool dysfunction because it's going to make you question all of your friendships after reading this. Perfect. I got my water ready. This is about utter betrayal and a broken family. This was in 2006 when I, 43 male, was 24 at the time, and my mom had just recently given birth to our youngest brother. We will call him Henry. I'm the oldest of 6 boys and we're an Irish Catholic family, so we have a saying, we put the fun in dysfunction. I'm 8 years older than my next youngest brother, and there's age gaps of 5, 3, and 2 years between the 6 of us. We all share the same mom but have 2 different dads among us. Like I said, we're dysfunctional. Anyway, just when I thought I had seen it all, this happened. I'm dysfunctional too, you know? I got half brother, I got stepsister. My mom has 2 divorces, not blaming anyone, but I get you. I get you. To set the stage, I'll provide some context. Being the oldest, I've had to take on the responsibility of being the man of the house because my father wasn't around as much because he was a drill sergeant in the US Army, where he'd be gone from Monday morning until Friday evening. He is retired now. Claps for him. Also, my mother had me when she was 15, and she and my dad got married at 16 and had 2 more boys together, but then divorced when I was 5 years old. My father walked out on us because he was scared, and it really left a void in our lives. I was clapping for his service, not his service as a father. Mom remarried 6 years later and had my 3 youngest brothers with my stepfather, whom I view as my dad, which wound up in the 6 of us boys. Oh my God, she had all boys? Wow, she didn't get 1 girl in the batch. That's wild. Due to his job in the Army, I would help mom out with chores and watch after my brothers while she worked overtime to help provide for all of us. As you can expect, I was exhausted and the house was always a mess. I didn't have much of a social life because of it. Even when I was in high school, I picked up a side hustle selling Pokemon cards to support myself. Back then, that's how kids started out making money. One day after I got home from work, my mom and all my brothers were gathered in the living room and she announced that she was pregnant. Burp. Oh my God, it tastes like bananas. Prada? Yeah. Can you believe that's coming out of my mouth? Prada sent me PR and they sent me banana candy. Like literal candies that are little shapes of banana and they taste like banana. I ate a few before I filmed. Now my burps taste like banana. I am too hyper for my own good today. No one cares. I was happy but also shocked and kind of upset because that meant I had to look after another baby, and I already had my hands full with the 2 youngest that were still living with us. Fast forward 9 months later, we had a baby sister. Oh my God, she got a girl. We'll call her Ellie. We were all excited to have a sister in the family until she grew older and we noticed something. This was when Ellie was 9 months old. I was babysitting her one day, and when I looked at her, I noticed that Ellie had blue eyes. I was confused because both my stepfather and mom have brown eyes, and each of my 3 youngest brothers have brown eyes as well. I'm no expert in genetics, but 2 parents who have brown eyes having a baby with blue eyes when each child before has brown eyes, that math doesn't add up. I pointed it out to my parents and they seemed surprised as well, but they really didn't seem to care about it. Want to know a fun fact? My sisters and I all have you probably won't even believe me. My sister, oldest sister, bright blue eyes. Middle sister, a year older than me, beautiful, pure green eyes. Me, hazel, some brown, yellow, whatever the hell. We all have very different eye colors. My dad has hazel. My mom has like a little bit of blue in there. Anyways, It's possible you could have different colored eyes because they change in babies, but my gut feeling was telling me something was off. When Ellie was 19 months, her eyes were still blue, and whenever I looked at her and my stepfather, the two didn't look anything alike. She was growing and her facial appearance was different from his. We're Caucasian, but Ellie's skin was like a caramel color. That's when the thought crossed my mind. I asked Mom if she was secretly having an affair, and she said no. My stepfather became suspicious, and he wanted to get a DNA test to see if Ellie was indeed his daughter. For some reason, Mom didn't want to get the test because in her mind, there was no need for it. If she had nothing to hide, why wouldn't she want to take the test? We waited 3 weeks until we got the results back, and the test confirmed that Ellie was not his biological daughter. To my horror, the test showed that her father was named Anthony. That's the name of my best friend that I've known since kindergarten. Knowing that DNA doesn't lie, I demanded to know the truth. Mom told me she had been sleeping with Anthony for a year. Turns out, when she said she was working late, she was sleeping at Anthony's house for a quickie. This absolutely enraged all of us, especially me. Me and my 2 younger brothers went to Anthony's house with the DNA results. When we barged in, I smacked him in the face. "You slept with my mother?" I showed him the DNA results and told him that our sister was his daughter. Anthony was horrified by this, and he looked at us like a deer caught in headlights. "Yes, but we did it just once." Another lie. I told him that Mom revealed that this had gone on for over a year. Anthony revealed that she and him got together because she hated the fact that my stepfather would be gone most of the week and she felt lonely. This made me throw up. We took Anthony to our house to show him Ellie, and once he laid eyes on her, it all made sense. His eyes were blue as well, and she had his nose and mouth. My stepfather was the most angry person in the whole room, and he told my mom he wanted a divorce and that he wasn't raising Ellie. It took over a year, but they did indeed wind up divorced. Anthony wanted nothing to do with his daughter, and that all enraged us. We tried everything legally to make him not walk out. However, the courts didn't agree. Why? He's quite literally the father. To this day, our family hasn't been the same since. Ellie is now in high school, and we did have to tell her the truth about what happened, and she was devastated. She doesn't really have much of a relationship with Mom because of that. I've tried to keep things together, but I know well that there isn't any amount of counseling that can fix this mess. I thought we were already dysfunctional enough, but instead, we're definitely one of the most dysfunctional families in the world. If you think your family is dysfunctional, I will bet my life savings yours doesn't come anywhere close to this circus of mine. I don't know what the future holds, but it's something I'm definitely not looking forward to. You know, a lot of families are not perfect and they're dysfunctional. I feel like people might hide it well, but you'd be surprised what families go through behind closed doors. And I'm really sorry that you all had to go through that. That's hard. That's tough. That changes the family dynamic completely. And that's really hard to navigate. Next story is also anonymous. What are you guys, scared? You scared to tell me who you are? I'm just kidding. I walked in on my girlfriend cheating on me with my best friend. What is it with these best friends? Buckle up for this gigantic mess. This happened in 2022 and took over the span of a few months. I, 25 male, was in a relationship with my girlfriend. We will call her Charlotte, 24 female. We met in high school and we were high school sweethearts. We were your normal happy couple. We went to homecoming and prom together, and Charlotte was even elected prom queen. She was much more than a pretty girl. She graduated near the top of our class and she was a standout on the school's basketball team. Go Char! I always felt like I was the lucky one because I was a social outcast and I didn't have the recognition as the others. But Charlotte stuck by me through it all. I keep saying Charlotte and that's like tripping me out because you guys know I'm friends with Charlotte Dobre and I call her Char and Charlotte all the time and it's tripping me out. I don't know if I've read a story about someone named Charlotte. I don't remember. Anyways, I don't like this Charlotte because she's cheating. Over time, I was slowly but surely paying for an engagement ring. I would pay $500 a month over a 7-month period before I could officially buy it. I thought I had found the girl for me, but how wrong I truly was. Fast forward to this particular day, I went to the jewelry store to finally purchase the ring. I had recently got a promotion at my job working as a sales manager at a car dealership. Charlotte was supposed to be working that day, so I was on my way home to set up a surprise proposal for her. But when I got home, I noticed she was home early. I walked into our apartment and I noticed that there were a set of car keys and a jacket sitting on the kitchen counter that I didn't recognize. That made me suspicious. I head towards our bedroom and I call Charlotte's name when I see the doors closed and I can hear noises coming from inside. I get a sickening feeling as to what I'm going to find. I open the door and I see my best friend, Matt, on top of Charlotte in our bed having sex. Oh, this is really tripping me out. If you're new here, my boyfriend's name is Matt and I have a good friend called Charlotte. I don't even like saying that sentence. I screamed and I ran over and I sucker punched him off the bed. Charlotte was shocked by my presence and all she could say was, "Why are you home so early?" The audacity. Why the hell are you sleeping with my best friend? I was going on and on about how I loved her and how could she do this to me. I showed her the ring and explained that I was going to propose, but she ripped my heart out. I looked at Matt and all I could see was a liar and a thief. I loved this man like a brother. After all we'd been through, he turns and does this. I yelled, "Y'all need to get out of here. I don't want anything to do with either of you." I told Charlotte to pack up and move out immediately because there was no coming back from this. I started grabbing some of her things and putting them in suitcases, and Charlotte is screaming at me, trying to gaslight me. "You pushed me away. Matt was there for me and he's just a great guy." Hey, PSA, great guys don't sleep with their best friend's partner. This was making me angrier and angrier by the moment. She tried to stop me from packing up, but I literally pushed her away. I know that may have been a step too far, but I didn't care. Ooh. For context, I kept pepper spray in my nightstand drawer. I walked over and grabbed it and sprayed Matt with it. Are you allowed to do that? Is pepper spray? It's illegal here in Canada. He's flailing around like crazy and I warned Charlotte that I wasn't kidding. She was terrified at this point, so she started packing up, but not without trying to gaslight me, of course. After a long battle of exchanging words, I finally managed to get both Matt and Charlotte out of our apartment. I just fell to the floor crying while taking all of it in. I just couldn't believe what just happened and that I had spent $5,000 on an engagement ring I had spent months paying for. After spending a few days gathering myself, I returned the ring and I sadly relinquished my friendship with Matt. I blocked both of their numbers and deleted all of our pictures. I changed apartments so that way they wouldn't find me. Life has been really rough as of late for me. I've dealt with depression, trust issues, and have had a hard time getting back out in the dating game because of this whole experience. It just feels like far too many people are chasing players rather than good people like me who want something real. I'm not sure if I'll ever recover from this experience, but I just hope I find someone who can renew my faith and love, because after an experience like this, I deserve so much better. Yes, you do, and yes, you will. You absolutely will. These things are always, and I hated when people said this to me when I was cheated on, it's a blessing in disguise. I was like, meh. I loved this person. I don't want the lesson, you know? I don't want to go through this. It's so true though. It's not who you were meant to be with. This had to happen. It had to happen this way for you to one day meet someone, and it had to happen right before the proposal. It all happened for a reason. I promise you. I promise. It's gonna happen. And once you're through the pain, you'll be on the happy side. The healed side. But let me tell you, the journey to get there sucks. So I'm sorry. Next up, can you guess it? It's anonymous. I, 31 female, was married to my husband, 30 male, for 10 years. You spent all your 20s together? Why is this past tense? What happened? No. Most of this marriage seemed fine. He had depression and certainly had episodes. The last 2 years is when things got really rough. He went through an extreme depression. I had to take him to the hospital to be admitted to a mental hospital several times. He talked every single day about how he wanted to die. I was making sure he went to therapy and to see a psychiatrist. I was constantly asking him what he needed from me, if there was anything I could do to ease any of this. He always told me no. When I tried to hug him or be close to him, he would tell me not to touch him or just sit there without moving. I could feel him starting to hate me, and I had no idea why. For context, I asked him to stop using Facebook near the beginning of our marriage because he was talking inappropriately with other women, saying that they were just friends. Back then, he was irritated, but he agreed. His sudden depression came back right after he decided to be on social media again. I gave my blessings because we got married very young and I assumed he had matured. I told him I trusted him. Anyway, while I was trying to help him, I was also finding out that I was disabled. I couldn't do things around the house like I once could, and I was fainting every day. My heart rate was near the 200s if I stood up and just walked at my own home. I was in pain and I was sick all the time, but I did everything in my power to try to be there for him. The only thing I could feel I could do better was staying on top of housework, but I physically wasn't able to. So all of this was happening. My husband started to tell me his plan to take his life. I can't say the word, it gets flagged every single day. I have anxiety disorders, PTSD and OCD, and just my own mental struggles. I told him as kindly as I could that I couldn't hear his plan every day, multiple times a day. It was making me unable to sleep or breathe. He was pulling away unless it was to talk about him dying. Even a psychiatrist said he shouldn't be trying to tell me this every day and that he needed to talk to his professional about it. One day, I saw him on his phone smiling. I asked what he was watching and he said he was talking to Alyssa, his ex. I thought it was weird, but I said all right, as I knew she had a husband and I didn't think I had any reason to be concerned. It hurt my feelings. She made him smile, but I only seemed to make him yell, but I just wanted my husband to be himself again. Things escalated between us. He was becoming more psychologically abusive, violent, and just downright cruel to me and our child. One day, when he wouldn't stop talking to Alyssa, I asked why he was always on the phone with her. He said, I can tell her things I can't tell you. I can talk to her about things I can't talk to you about. I asked if he was referring to his plans, and he said yes, that he needed to talk about it, and she was giving him that outlet. I was beyond hurt by his words, and I asked him to please cut communication, and that this felt like it was unhealthy for our relationship, and while I tried to be understanding, he was crossing a line. He broke down, sobbing. I was stunned. I had never seen him cry like that over me, our child, or anyone else. This only made me more upset, and I insisted it wasn't okay. He claimed that he would stop talking to her, and this seemed to be the point where he was even more terrifying. I would pretend to be asleep when he came home. I was scared to talk to him. Our child couldn't stand being around him after seeing how he acted with another woman. His last day at the mental hospital, I took him once again, and it was 2 days before our wedding anniversary. When he got phone time, he would tell me about all the girls he talked to in there and how much they understood him. I didn't know how to respond, but I told him I loved and I missed him. He said if I wanted to stay with him, we needed to go to couples counseling, and I agreed. I don't even know how to handle something like this. Summarizing, we went a few times and the couples counselor said he doesn't like to tell people to get a divorce, but he told me to take my child and run because he worried that we were in danger from my husband. I did just that. Fast forward a couple weeks, we separated. The moment we make it official that it's over, he is back to talking to Alyssa with no shame. She's still married at that point. Well, a few months later, she leaves her husband and she's immediately with my ex. Yeah, I hate to say it in such a dark time, but Saw that coming. When he is over at visitation, he is constantly on the phone with her, even though our child has begged him to stop. They have expressed how much they dislike Alyssa and don't want to see her or hear about her. They see Alyssa as someone who destroyed their parents' marriage. Ex-husband is furious and cries whenever he is asked to put his phone away and concentrate on his child. Our child is a teenager now and has said they won't have anything to do with Alyssa and to keep her away from them. I talked to my therapist and decided to tell my ex-husband that he had an emotional affair with Alyssa. He blew up. He said that just talking to a friend isn't an affair. He says what they all say, that if what he said to her means it was an emotional affair, then he was having an emotional affair with his friends and family too. I tried to explain how it's different, with them having romantic feelings and both ending relationships and ending up together was telling. He refuses to believe it. He also refuses to do anything that makes our child feel comfortable and wants to push Alyssa into our lives. I put my foot down and I said, no, I have sole custody and he is supervised visitation only. He keeps trying to push against our parenting plan, and I recently found out he is no longer in treatment or medicated for his depression, which is part of our parenting plan agreement. That he can only see our child if he is in treatment and on medication. I'm not sure what to do. He basically said he would give up his kid for Alyssa. Ew. But he's very much so a parent by photos only. He shows up to visit, takes photos of or with my child, and then doesn't talk to them. He instead wants to talk to me about what went wrong with us. I have told him the opportunity to discuss our marriage is long gone and we are divorced. I am only there to supervise, not to relive trauma. I have CPTSD from the continuous trauma and abuse from him, while I already have PTSD, and our child has been diagnosed with PTSD directly because of what my ex did as well. He simply takes no accountability and has no remorse for us. I could write a thesis on this man in just a year in the life with him. I am curious to know though, was he likely having an emotional affair with Alyssa, or am I just overreacting? Her name was obviously been changed for privacy and plenty of relationship details are not here to save you some reading. Well, thanks. I think so. Obviously, I don't know. Who's to say? But yeah. And the fact that they so quickly left their marriages to be together, that is telling. No matter what you say, it's telling. I don't know the extent of the emotional affair. I don't know if it got sexual. I don't know, but I do think there was definitely he was emotionally invested in this woman, for sure. But you guys let me know your thoughts on this, because that's a lot. Hopping on hydration station. Drink your water. Cheers. How am I going to guess how to say this name, you guys? Oh, it's a Welsh name. Llewellyn. Okay, so the next story I think is coming from Llewellyn F. Why I went from wanting to marry a guy to never being more than friends with benefits in a single night. Damn, that's quite a switch up. A bit of backstory with my story. I was a devoted Christian for many years, but for various reasons, I stepped away from religion. I joined several dating sites and began meeting guys for introductory dates. My mindset was to have fun in safe ways, free from the guilt tied to the religious beliefs I had once followed, especially when it came to physical intimacy. One guy I dated, Nathan, had a young child, Coda, about 5 years old at the time, with his ex-girlfriend, Laura. Nathan frequently shared wild stories about Laura's narcissistic behavior. Despite their split, the three of them, Nathan, Laura, and Coda, would sometimes spend major holidays together with Nathan's parents. According to Nathan and his mother, Laura had said on a few occasions that she only had Coda because she thought it would make Nathan want to marry her. They described how Laura often used Coda to manipulate situations to her advantage. Certainly glad she wasn't my mother. When I first started meeting guys, I would meet 3 to 4 a week, meeting only, not doing anything beyond that. Chemistry with them from first date didn't really click with most of them. Nathan and I's intro date went really well though, and we had talked for about 2 hours, well more than any of the others. We eventually started getting together every other weekend due to him having his child every other weekend. One of the things we had discussed when we first met was that neither of us wanted to get married. For me, it was because I wanted to have fun after so many years of being in religion, and for him, at least what he told me at the time, was due to Laura and other past girlfriends, and he didn't want to get into the position to have to deal with the challenge of divorcing someone crazy more or less. We didn't get together on the weekends he had Coda because one of the agreements he had with Laura was that neither of them would introduce Coda to anyone they were dating unless they were going to get married to that significant other. Due to the nature of our relationship, we both agreed that it was fine that we went out with other people, but since I had a busy schedule and was having as much fun as I wanted to have with him, I didn't date anyone else, nor did I really look. I did meet a few guys, but chemistry was never there with any of them. About a year into the relationship, I started thinking about settling down with someone, and I started developing feelings for him to the point that I wanted to possibly marry him. But every time I brought up the topic of marriage, he was always firm on how he would never get married. But I kept thinking I would be the one to change his mind someday. I know, not how a strong relationship is trying to change the significant other, but back then I didn't think that way. About 6 months later, on a holiday, a year and a half into our relationship now, I went to his place to wait for him to get home from the get-together of him, Laura, and Coda, and his mom and dad. He is a person who drinks, and some nights he will get pretty drunk. When he got home, he was drunk, which was fine with me. I asked him how the night he had went. He started talking about him and Laura had gotten into an argument because he had told her that he was going to start taking Coda on trips out of state without her approval. He wanted to go to places like Disneyland and other fun places for kids. And he didn't care how she felt about it since she could do it without his approval, but she had to approve if he wanted to. Bear in mind, they don't have any court agreements, only ones that they did with each other, not even on paper, I believe, and he was the only one paying for her medical insurance and paying child support. I listened to everything, even asking some questions along the way. At one point of the story, Nathan said that Laura had said, "I'll take you to court," because she was very firm about Nathan not being able to do pretty much anything with Coda without her permission. In the response, he said, "Go ahead. What is the judge going to say? Get a divorce?" He had said other things, but my mind had stopped listening to the word divorce. I thought for a few moments and then said to him, "What do you mean get a divorce?" His response was essentially that he and Laura had gotten married for tax reasons and that you know how I feel about her, so you know it's nothing more than something on paper. Yes, I believed him on that part, but then I asked, "How long ago did you two get married?" He said, "About a year ago." I was in utter disbelief. A year and a half together, and the last year of it, he was legally married. I asked, "And you didn't tell me because?" And his response was, "Because it didn't concern you." Girl, the way I would have ran so fast. 100-meter dash through that door. I was having one of those "what the F do you mean" moments at this point. What do you mean it doesn't concern me? Like hell it didn't as far as I was concerned. I just stood there thinking about how he had told me on so many occasions that he would never get married while he was actually married. Whatever trust I had built up with him was gone in an instant. I decided then and there that I will never be able to trust him again, so any strong feelings I had for him needed to disappear, and that he will never be anything more than a boy toy or friends with benefits for me. Girl, he doesn't even deserve that. He went to bed right after, and I sat on the couch watching TV for a bit, figuring out if I wanted to stay in any kind of relationship with him or not, before going to bed as well. I decided, since it was for tax purposes only and that our relationship had only been essentially a friends with benefits one anyway, especially on his end, to keep seeing him. We dated in quotations for a few more months while I looked but never got serious with anyone. We did have fun together, went on vacations together, had fun in the bedroom, etc. But I never let my feelings go beyond that. During this time, he said Laura did eventually go through a complicated and intense divorce. She would do things like change Coda's school without getting approval from the courts first, try to keep Nathan from his weekend visits, etc. Laura also broke the not introduce Coda to their significant others when she introduced her new boyfriend to Coda. So I finally got to meet Coda as well, and I even spent holidays with the two of them and Nathan's parents. Like, you are not a friends with benefits though. We gotta draw a line. You are not hanging out with his kid and his parents on holidays if you are just friends with benefits. So I don't know. At some point, I decided I wanted to move away from where I was living due to how crazy things were in that area, and I also just needed a change. We have remained in contact though throughout the years. Luckily, Coda, due to Nathan winning the court battle about where Coda went to school, was able to get into a good college and is on the way to getting a doctorate degree. Luckily, Laura's narcissistic ways didn't damage Coda to a point that Coda went down the same road that Laura did. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we have different definitions of friends with benefits though. Like, that's a whole ass relationship. For sure. We got another one. And it's anonymous. 15 years ago, I was a preschool teacher, and during that time, I faced a considerable amount of politics, favoritism, and cliques. The director had her favorites, not myself, and would often ask me to take on tasks only to reprimand me later for doing them. For instance, she asked me to put contact paper on a toy shelf, and the following day, I was scolded for wasting the contact paper. She claimed, "I never told you to do that." However, bless the children who hear everything. We all have that sassy kid in our classrooms. I was that sassy kid. One of them approached her and said, "Yes, miss, let's call her Becky, you did tell her to cover the shelf. My mom gets mad when I lie, so why are you lying?" I like her. I continued to face reprimands for various reasons, including for asking her to sign a contract the next few times she requested tax, so she could not come back and do what I said above, missing a meeting to take my early childhood education final exam, sitting down for a few minutes when I was unwell. I was later diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Yes, sitting was discouraged during outdoor play. I only took a brief moment when her friends would sit on their butts and gossip all the time, while I maintained order during our outdoor play. I was often the only one who had to stay late and cover for others because I had no children. I found myself in trouble for everything, including things I hadn't done, when her friends did get in trouble for the same things that I was being accused of. Even after a panic attack that led me to the ER while working, caused by her, I would often feel ill and vomit sometimes before my shifts. The staff, who were all born-again Christians, nothing wrong with that, but it was not a Christian school. It was a school for a big corporation staff. They treated me poorly because I was raised Catholic, but no longer practice. They did not know that. They even suggested that my genetic condition that I was born with was a result of being born out of wedlock. I'm not kidding. Humanity never ceases to surprise me. The final straw came when the corporation asked us to complete an anonymous survey regarding our director's performance. Oh, did I express my thoughts? The next day, she summoned me to her office, confronted me about my responses, and threatened to write me up for being malicious, having recognized my handwriting. I was furious and reminded her that the survey was meant to be anonymous, that she had no right to confront me or take action against me for it. I handed in my 2 weeks notice and I told her to F off. Conservative a-hole did not take kindly to my response. Yes, I did reach out to HR. She did not get fired though. I do not know if she got in trouble. Probably not, because of all the stories you guys put in the comments, you guys all say that HR is basically pointless from your experience. Let me know your thoughts. These are all of your stories, so you guys will all be in the comments, okay? Keep it respectful. We're all friends here, all right? Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.